everybody. Oh gosh, what's today? Thursday. I can't keep track of time. It's time to talk about spirituality from the beginning, from where you might be starting, where you might be in the middle, where you might feel more advanced. But I really, these are the things that I wished I had known when I first started my journey a couple decades ago. I really wished I kind of had known this. And we kind of go through what we go through. But today I wanted to share a couple things with you. One, I wanted to talk about when you're beginning, when you're on that awakened path. What are the things that you want, the 5 things that are really important for you to know as you're getting going? And then I also want to talk about what to look for, how to be discerning when you're looking for mentors and teachers and classes and different things. And then I'm also going to talk about spiritual bypassing, because that's a really interesting topic right now. A lot of people are talking about it. And I wanted to share it with you because I think it's important. So let me start by adding my screen. Perfect. Okay, today, spiritual bypassing, what is it? And then safeguarding your spiritual journey. This is a really great place to start. So let me make sure I've got you going. Yeah, so I just kind of covered this, right? Waking up, now what? And this is happening, isn't it? I mean, you're probably feeling it. Somebody, a friend of mine on Facebook last night posted this really great comment about how you can really feel the shifts happening. You can feel like, the matrix is sort of pulling apart and you're getting glimpses of things. You're seeing the Mandela effect where there's timelines that are collapsing. So different, what you remembered isn't part of the reality anymore. And this is what's happening right now. Time is different. I feel like time is breaking down. I am not relating to time much anymore, but I haven't for a while. But because I moved to Mount Shasta, which many of you probably know that I've been living here for a couple of years. Oh boy, is this a very powerful place to be as it relates to what's happening right now. I can't even imagine what it would have felt like back in 1987 during what they called the harmonic convergent, which was these planetary cosmological alignments that started to really shift things. So waking up, what now? Finding a mentor and spiritual bypassing. These are the things that I want to cover with you today. But let me just, in case you don't know me, my name is Lori Soleil. I'm a certified hypnotherapist. I deal with deep quantum consciousness change within the hypnotherapy practice. I work on stress management and emotional intelligence and women's empowerment. So there's a lot of different ways that I bring my modalities in. I am an advanced NLP practitioner. Actually got to train with one of the original NLP developers, Robert Dilts. Such a pleasure. This was back in like the early 2000s. So I got to work with him. And then Psyche, quantum consciousness facilitation. All of these are these are just the different modalities that I love. There's a bunch of other stuff on the back end too that I love doing. But this is to help you get to your desired outcome quicker, because we know that we are the creators of our reality. And that's hard to swallow sometimes because of our situations in our life. And it isn't our fault, because we're conditioned to realize, we've been told that we're not. We've been told that we are victims, that we are powerless. So that's just a little bit about me. And let's get started here. So when you're starting your spiritual journey, let's just go there for a minute. And let me pop out really fast because I just want to see if I can see comments. I can't see comments if anybody's on. So if you have comments about any of this, because this is live and you might be watching it later, just put them in the chat below and I'll get to them. Tag me, or just putting in a comment, I'll see it. So let's go back to my slide. Okay, when you're starting your spiritual journey, here's what I invite you to consider. The very first thing is self-exploration. You got to kind of know where you're starting. You have to start to shed some of the old beliefs that were impressed upon you when you were young. There's no judgment. It's just family dynamics and the way families believe get imparted. That's part of the hypnotic state that we're in as a kid up until about 8, 9, 10. We're kind of in this deep, in this hypnotic state in what they call theta. It's a theta brainwave state. And stuff just drops in. It just sort of like Tetris, chinks and chinks. And unless you actually look at it, which is what I'm inviting you to do, then you're operating from these unconscious beliefs. And this goes for many different things, coping strategies, all kinds of stuff. However, it's really important for you because one of the things that you want to do is to be able to set boundaries around your spirituality. That's for another training. But let's just stop and think about what that would mean to explore. What do you really believe? What's important to you? And sometimes what we start to discover that we believe is pretty far out. And that's okay too. There's a big gamut. Like here in Mount Shasta, it's a well-known place for lots of visitations from unidentified flying UFOs or UAPs. There's different terms for it now. There's certain people in my life that I don't talk about that with. That's what's beautiful about the Connected Soul Network, is that you can come in and you can have these conversations. That's why we're talking today, my friend. So just start to understand your values, your purpose, and know that there isn't just one road to it. There's many different ways to get to this, what Maslow would call the self-actualization, being self-actualized, or that transcendence, or the enlightenment, as a lot of in the spiritual world talk about. So that's one. Number two is mindfulness practices. If you can't go within, then you go without. Mindfulness, meaning meditation, meaning sitting in quiet. That can be walking meditation, however it is for you to quiet the mind, to quiet the analytical mind, to quiet the ego, so that you can really start to tune in and tap in. Because information is coming to you all the time. We are a little antenna. Yet most of us are dissociated from our bodies. We're not feeling our feelings. Now, feelings and emotions are different. An emotion is a collection of feelings in the body. So an emotion can be something you remember, or you hear somebody say, or the feeling in the body, what that feels like. Joy feels different than anger. So just starting to understand that feelings are that collection, the sensation, the communication that creates this emotion. So when you start to get present, and when you start to really slow down and listen, you're going to hear it. It's little whispers, wherever it comes from. You might hear it. It comes from different places for different people. So that's what I'm saying for you, is to really pay attention to that. Who are you? Who are you? And you're going to know that when you start to slow down, and when you start to tune out all of the noise out here of everybody telling you what you need to be, and all the stuff you're seeing on social media and reading in the news. And that's an illusion. Number three, seek guidance. That's what we're talking about today. I'm going to give you some things to think about in order to be discerning, seeking guidance from people who are further along than you. However, I want you to know, okay, focus with me right now, my friend. I want you to know, this is one of the most important things about all of it, is that you are your own guru. Okay? You are your own guru, my friend. You are not lacking for anything. What we learn, I believe, and this is my belief, when we seek out people who are more advanced than us, these avatars, which they don't advertise. You kind of have to find them, and they can activate you, but all they're doing is awakening the knowing within you already. So just know that from the start, so that when I started, I felt deficient, like, oh my God, I need to know this and I need to know that. And I started, you might recognize this feeling. I was reaching and finding somebody who's the latest and greatest, or, the New York Times bestseller on the book list, and all those things are fine. But just know you are your own guru. And when you start to do your self-exploration and your mindfulness practices, you start to understand how to intuit information, because the body is always in real time, for one. This is really important. when we come back to the body will give us clues as to what feels good for us or not. Now, I body dowse. That's something for another training. You know, people use pendulums and other things to kind of intuit into the deeper subconscious mind, or the super conscious mind, which is our soul space. When we stop and we pay attention, we can start to discern if this is a good path for us to take as it relates to training or a teacher. So just, I wanted to make sure and identify that. And then embracing growth, right? Being open to new perspectives. Now, I feel like that's kind of a given, because that's what we're doing as when we're on our journey, we're seekers. And then trust the journey. Recognize that as it unfolds, what's happening. Recognize that opportunities that might feel challenging are an opportunity for growth. And sometimes it's not comfortable, for sure. It's not comfortable. In fact, a lot of people, when they talk about their Kundalini awakening, and the Kundalini is the energy that's tapped into the base of the spine. And when that starts to unwind, because we are opening up and we are getting quiet and we're tapping into the greater aspect of who we are, that Kundalini awakening for a lot of people is not a comfortable process. In fact, it almost feels for some people like a psychotic break. It can be very challenging. And certainly, you know, if people are going through anything that feels really uncomfortable, they want to get it checked out. I never say to people, oh, you're just going through a Kundalini awakening. Yeah, you're okay. Like, just get through it. No, I think it's important to go to your doctor and have, you know, certain situations, if, you know, symptoms that are coming up, have that checked out first, so then that you can kind of ease your mind. But it is, sometimes it's not comfortable. So that's where trusting the journey is important. Okay. Let me keep going here. Let me go back to my slides, because I don't know why I can't toggle. All right. Here's the thing that I want to make sure you really drop into and take away as food for thought. How to discern when somebody is a good fit for you. One is that intuitive ability to really feel into it. Does this feel right for me? Everybody has their different path. There are many paths to what would be considered enlightenment. But these are the things that I think are important to look for, or to pay attention to watch out for. And I think that's how I put it. Safeguarding your spiritual journey. These are the things that can be kind of a red flag. So one, lack of authenticity. So somebody who's teaching these things should also be able to embody what they're teaching. I really think humility is huge for a good spiritual teacher. That's just my take. Again, you get to decide. You're your own guru. And sometimes we find someone that probably could be considered like a false prophet, or even somebody who's dealing in the dark arts, which can be kind of sketchy. But that's also a learning lesson, isn't it? And because sometimes when I look back on some of my own journeys and the people I chose to kind of study with for a while, I had an intuitive hit, but I bypassed it myself, and I went anyway. So that's why I say in the beginning, make sure that you're really, really establishing who you are, and then you can make better choices. And it's all good. It's all meant on the path. So lack of authenticity, meaning that they're not genuine, they're not humble, they can't walk their own path. This is huge. That's a huge one. And walking, and in terms of what they're teaching, walking the path can be different, meaning we all don't have to walk around in spiritual garb, meditating in temples. Some people have a few drinks here and there. Some people cuss, and they still are living a very authentic spiritual life. So again, that's what you have to determine, but understand the trappings around that. What does that mean? Emphasis on material gain. Nothing wrong with living with beautiful things and having lots of money for freedom and security and all those things. This is just one to pay attention to when they're emphasizing wealth, or when fame and power is important to them. then that's where you're going to have to go, is this good, right? True mentors focus on inner transformation rather than external success. So you'll find this is where they call them false prophets, people who espouse a spiritual life, but it's really centered around ego. Let me tell you a story about this too. This is really interesting. I went to the New Living Expo down in the Bay Area. I had gone a couple times, and I was kind of doing videos and highlighting different vendors there. And I came across this one vendor. They were a spiritual group based in Marin, and they had a bunch of different kinds of meditation tools and things. And they had some sacred geometry structures. I wish it's up there, but I'm not going to step away from the camera. But I wanted to show you these different structures, and they had crystal wands and things. But the crystals were interesting. They weren't actual real minerals. They were manufactured, and they had a whole reason why they did that. And that's neither here nor there. But I had a little inkling. The sales guy approached me, the spiritual guy, the guy, one of the people who were there, who were a participant of this particular spiritual group. And they came to the expo to kind of show their wares and talk about their spiritual community. Didn't really get a good vibe. I didn't listen. And so I was looking around, and he said, well, do you want this? This is a really interesting thing. You can do this. And so he had me try it out. And then they had some pyramids that you could meditate under. And I ended up buying something from them. It didn't feel right for me. So again, I have to take responsibility for my own decisions. But then the guy came around and asked me to do like a testimonial about the thing. And so I'm like, I'm a very happy, kind of sometimes, again, I judge things sometimes before I think about them. That's something that I need to pay attention to. And so I just kind of like, oh, I like the thing, and this feels blah, blah, blah. And I did a little testimonial, but he kept pressing me to say something else about the guru. And I didn't. And then I walked away and thought, ooh, I did not like that. That did not feel good. It felt, again, very much about the fame and the power. And so that's what I mean. People can be cloaked in what would be considered spirituality, but you have to determine what's important to you, and always, always follow your intuition. Your gut knows, your body knows, your body's in real time, and it can sense the intentions and the nervous system of everybody around you. Manipulative behavior. That was definitely something that I felt was manipulative. So that's a warning sign, right? Coercion, control tactics. A trustworthy mentor respects your autonomy and encourages independent thinking and decision-making. Unrealistic promises. Be wary of mentors who are making grandiose promises or guaranteeing instant enlightenment, miraculous healing, supernatural powers. Now, this is something I heard recently. You might know of John of God. He's down, I guess he was down in South America. Turns out it wasn't a good situation. It was more like a cult. This is what I heard recently. Now, I have not actually researched it, but it came from a reputable source. So those are the kinds of things I'm talking about, like people who are promising things. Now, stuff happens, but even Jesus would say, I can't heal a person unless they believe I can. So again, coming back to you are your own guru, and that you are the most powerful person to be able to make these decisions for yourself and to heal yourself and to create the reality that you want. Lack of transparency. A reliable mentor should be transparent about their background, qualifications, and intentions. So concealment of crucial information or reluctance you can feel that dishonesty or deception. That's a red flag. Definitely a red flag. Okay, 5 more. Unethical practices. And you'll know this, you'll understand and you'll feel it. Your body's going to feel it. So when you drop in and really pay attention to your feelings, you're going to start to go, oh, yeah, this doesn't feel good. Abuse, boundary violations, engaging in unethical behavior. You hear a lot of these false prophets where people follow them and then they're inappropriate, sexually or grooming or, so pay attention. Resistance to questions or doubts. A competent mentor welcomes the questions, welcomes the doubts, welcomes the critical inquiry. It's all a part of the learning process, because our mind, our analytical mind does want answers. The mind wants to know. It wants to know why certain things work. That's why I love blending science and spirituality, because when you can quiet the critic and go, yeah, actually, quantum mechanics is showing how we live in multiple dimensions. Therefore, it all exists in the now, and then the mind goes, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, proceed. Excessive dependency, right? Be cautious if a mentor encourages excessive dependency or reliance on their guidance. Like, you cannot make any decisions without me. And this is where this religion gets in the way to, many religious structures, communities. The priest is the be all end all, that you are the sinner and you must go through the priest in order to reach heaven, in order to reach God, in order to reach Jesus. And that is, from my opinion, that is absolutely not true. You get to decide. Closed-mindedness. Avoid mentors who exhibit rigid dogmatism, intolerance, or closed-mindedness towards different beliefs or perspectives. This is a huge one. And this is what I mean by there are many roads that lead to transcendence, that you find the right path for you. When you find somebody, and I had definitely on my own journey, this is the right path. This is the only path. This is the only way. We have the right answers. That's what that closed-mindedness means. Lack of boundaries. Pay attention to boundaries within the mentor-student relationship. That's what we talked about just a second ago. Respectful mentors maintain appropriate boundaries and avoid crossing personal and professional lines. So this is what you can decide, because this can be a gray area. Certainly inappropriateness, consensual, I've been in environments where, not necessarily with the teacher, but people can become friends in groups and situations. That's just my take on it. However, you get to decide. Okay, so we covered the 5 ways to start. Let's go back so we can look at that really quick. So starting your spiritual journey, it's about self-exploration, mindfulness practices, seeking guidance. That's where we went next. Embracing growth and trusting the journey. Then we talked about the 10 different qualities to discern whether a teacher, a mentor, a school feels good to you. So these are things to kind of watch out for. These are sort of the red flags. Okay, let me go back. So that was lack of authenticity, overemphasis on material gain, manipulative behavior, unrealistic promises, lack of transparency, unethical practices, resistance to questions or doubts, excessive dependency, closed-mindedness, and lack of boundaries. So those are 10 red flags to kind of pay attention to when you are deciding who to work with or not. Okay, spiritual bypassing. Hold on, I got to get something to drink. My throat's dry. What is spiritual bypassing? Spiritual bypassing is when let me go to hold on one second. Let me just read it, because it just makes better sense when I do that. Okay. So spiritual bypassing refers to the tendency to use spiritual beliefs or practices to avoid dealing with unresolved emotional issues or psychological wounds. So instead of facing and working through difficult emotions or challenges, individuals may try to spiritually bypass them by focusing solely on positive thinking, detachment, or transcendence. And so the reason why this is important is because it can lead to superficial or an incomplete approach to personal growth, and may hinder genuine healing and inner transformation. So that's why it's really important to understand this term. And you see it a lot. You see it a lot in, you can see it a lot in the beginning. In the beginning of journeys, you can find where people are again, bypassing the process. It's Joseph Campbell talked about the hero's journey. You have to go through, you have to slay the dragons. You have to go to the underworld. You have to deal with your dark side. When they talk about, when people talk about, is it the dark side? I don't know why I'm not thinking, when you're dealing with, it'll come to me. There's a term. It's not coming to me. You get the idea. When we negate, the situations that we need to heal, and that's part of what spirituality does for us, is that we can heal through working through the spiritual processes of transcendence. We can reset the brain physiologically when we start to meditate. When we do hypnotherapy, what happens in that process is you're able to detach from the trigger. So when in hypnotherapy, we can go, and NLP as well, we can go back to the experience without actually experiencing it. So we can look at it, we can heal it, we can reframe it, we can re-imprint it, but we're not being triggered. And that's what happens when when we have not worked through things and we get triggered. It fires the body. We're incongruent. Somebody will say, I want to go here, I want to do this, but the body's like, oh, no, you don't. So you have this sort of chasm within your system, within your psyche, because those wounds haven't been healed yet. So when you heal those wounds, when you forgive those spaces, when you show self-love and compassion, when you meditate and you can calm the mind, when you can calm down the emotional centers in the brain, the amygdala, which is the center that senses threat. Even a thought, even thinking about something or remembering something can fire that part of your brain. When we can calm that system down and rewire it through meditation, then that will also help us process. So that's why a lot of these things are really mindfulness, and meditation. Those are, out there. You see them all over the place talking about why. So, and gratitude, absolutely. You can hold both spaces at once, meaning you can be grateful and you can also be honoring that part of you that's still wounded, and allow that part to speak and to talk about it, and then to move on and to heal it and to move on. So that's what spiritual bypassing means. I'm spiritual, therefore I have nothing I've transcended all of the material world. I've transcended the 3D environment. You hear this, right? I'm 5D now, I'm not 3D anymore. But they still have some stuff that the part of them is going, no, you're not. You get down here and you fix this, you heal this. So that's where the trusting the journey is really important, so that you can move through it with compassion and love and acceptance and forgiveness. And then, the more and more and more you open, you're still connected. You can still be aware of the pain and suffering that's happening in the world. Yet you've gotten to a space of empathy versus sympathy. Sympathy is more constricted. Empathy is a little more open-hearted. Then you can focus on ways to support, ways to help, imagining into a world that is healed and transformed, rather than if I'm going to fight against, here's language. I'm fighting cancer. I'm fighting this. I'm fighting that. Fight is a threat state. So I have healed. I am healed, right? We talk into that state. Now, healing can be different things for different people. I'll talk about that at a different time and place. But that is, let me add my screen back because I think that's it. Let me go back to yes, that's it. Okay. So I just want to share really quickly with you. Let me make sure I've got okay. I'm just grateful to be here and to be sharing this with you. I'm grateful to be here to help. If I can share some of the experiences that I've been through, and I'm still on my journey. Certainly I'm still on my journey. And I can turn around and help somebody else that's coming through. That just warms my heart. It just warms my heart. When I can be the love bug in your garden and nurture and send good thoughts and encouragement and resilience your way, that makes me so happy. So I hope you got a little bit out of this. I'd love to, if you're watching this video, to just put some put some comments down in the comment section. I'm going to go back out because I don't see anything here. Got to figure out why I can't see it. But I just am so grateful for you, my friend, for being here today. Thank you for watching whenever you've watched this. And if you want more support, if you're like, yes, I feel really good, I want a little bit of support, I want guidance, I have so many different books that I love to read and processes that I've developed and ways to get out in nature. I'm here in Mount Shasta, so I lead people up onto the mountain, and we do different ceremonies to really drop into that beautiful magical space. If you want more of that, you can absolutely reach out to me. You can go to this link, Temple Loam Connection Call, and we can talk. Spend 30 minutes to talk about where you're at, where you might be struggling. If you are, I'm not saying you are, but if you're feeling like I could use a little more support here, I'm absolutely happy to help you. I'm going to put this link in the chat too, so that way you have it. You can reach out to me, and I'm going to go back over here, and that's it. That's it, my friend. Thank you for showing up. Any questions, again, put them into the chat and I will answer them. Tag me and I will come in and I will answer them over the next couple days, or, you know, whenever they show up, because you might be watching this way down the road. Right now it's February of 2024. But anyway, lots of love to you. You got this. How exciting. This is the Great Awakening. It's such an amazing time to be alive. You were meant to be here. You chose to be here during this time. And I'm right there with you. So have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.